Mayor Todd Gloria announcing the members of his administration's Black Advisory Group, which will help guide policy toward more inclusion and equity. And we're joined by April Laster, who is among the 9 community leaders named to the group. Her leadership, including being the founder and CEO of Open Heart Leaders, San Diego's only African-American female-led mental health nonprofit. And April, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me this morning.
We're glad to have you. And April, how did you find out that you were wanted for this panel, and how was it described to you what you would be doing?
I received an email from a member of his team, and they just, the value that they saw in me and what I'm already doing actively in the community. And this was just an opportunity to further the advancement of marginalized communities.
Have you had a chance yet to learn anything about how the group will work together, or is that something that will have to be worked out?
That is something that will come along, I think, with our first meeting. We haven't had our first meeting yet. I think that's coming up on the 19th of February. And once we all gather together and kind of understand our strengths amongst each other, as the 9 selected, I think we will have a better understanding of what we are actually there for and the outcome we expect to have for the city.
In announcing the panel, the mayor briefly described a disparity list, I'll call it. It includes education, access to health care, mental health, housing, transportation, food insecurity, employment, and entrepreneurship. So many things, and I'm sure you could add even more to that. Where do you begin?
Well, you have to begin with understanding how, first of all, this pandemic has been addressed in minority communities. When we talk about me being a mental health specialist, and then in the sector of education, we see how a lot of the resources that are that come across as geared for everyone has not been exactly offered at the same rate that it has in other areas. And so, you know, there's really no place to begin. It's so much on a large, plate, but we can only tackle one thing at a time. And hopefully this group will be able to bring all their strengths and expertise so we can get things done.
And you, coming from an expertise of mental health, how would you assess the access to mental health care in communities of color?
I am going to be very honest. In community of colors, there's a lack of mental health specialists who look like the people that need the service in those areas. The access through, whether it's insurance or whether through private pay, it has been very hard, especially with the pandemic increasing a lot of the mental health issues that were already in the forefront in our communities.
Do you feel like mental health is even considered by members of the community as an option in terms of dealing with things that they may be dealing with?
I think mental health looks like a lot of things for people in marginalized communities. It looks like addiction, it looks like panic attacks, it looks like anxiety, it looks like sleeping too much, it looks like overeating. I think the way that we address mental health in marginalized communities is not often acceptable where mental health is addressed in other communities.
April Lassiter is among the newly named members of the Black Advisory Group named by the mayor of San Diego this week. And April, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.